Hey friends, Golden Rovers here, and today I am really proud to introduce the Discovery 2 Dual Electric Fan Upgrade Kit. This kit replaces your engine's clutch fan with two high-performance electric fans from SPAL, finally putting an end to all of your overheating issues. This kit is a game changer for those of you who live in a hot climate. If you're often going up a steep trail on a hot day, fully loaded, you know that after a tough climb, your temperatures will start to rise, the AC will stop working, and you're wondering if the disco is going to make it. Because the fans are electric, they can blast your engine bay with fresh air even when you're just standing still at a stoplight. So the kit includes a custom shroud that is a direct fit for the OEM Discovery 2 Radiator, two high-performance fans from SPAL, and finally, all of the wiring, relays, sensors that you need to complete this upgrade. The wiring kit comes with this set of relays. I really love this. It's a relay kit from BP Automotive. It is very compact, but my favorite feature is that it can run your fans at two different speeds. Instead of turning on one fan and then the other fan at a later time, it'll turn on both fans at half speed and then both fans at full speed. I really like that because two fans running at half speed is a lot quieter than a single fan at full speed, and I think it performs better too. It is fully sealed and super compact, easy to mount anywhere. Comes with a generous amount of wire. If you have an LS swapped Disco 2, this harness connects directly to your LS swap harness. It has a blue and green wire which go directly to the PCM fan 1 and fan 2 wires. So if you want your fans controlled by the PCM, it's super easy to do that with this BP Automotive harness. And finally, the kit comes with two temperature sensors and an adapter to hook up those sensors to your cooling system. One sensor is rated at 170 degrees and one is rated at 190. In the real world, that means your fans will come on a half speed at around 175 and full speed at around 195. Or if you have an LS swap, you can ignore these sensors and just use your PCM to control the fans. So let me show you how to install this kit. Step 1, let's remove the original fan. Okay, and the fan clutch, 36mm wrench. And you know, if you've taken it off before, it shouldn't be too hard. But if you haven't taken it off before, then this could be difficult. Loosen your wrench and give it a good. There you go. There you go. Now let's also remove the lower fan shroud. And it comes right out. Cool. Now let's assemble our fans to the shroud. The kit comes with some nuts and bolts. Go ahead and mount one fan at a time. Place it over the holes. They should match perfectly. Screws in. This is just a little bit tricky to hold things together, but maybe do a couple of bolts at a time. Start threading your nut. You don't have to fully tighten it just yet. Second fan goes like this. So this is my recommendation, is to position the wires kind of facing each other so that they end up being about the same length. Okay. Now while the fan assembly is still out of the car, one more thing I like to do. So our relay kit came with some very nice waterproof connectors, which is a big upgrade from these. So we're gonna upgrade them. It came with pigtails, and crimps, shrink wrap, shrink tubing crimps. So we're going to crimp the pigtails onto the wires. So we will use the provided butt splices. Cut off this connector. Okay. Twist up the strands. Pigtails came pre-stripped and pre-twisted. Nice. So grab our crimp, put it in the crimper, stick the wire in, crimp, do a tug test, and we're good. Okay, all of my pigtails are crimped. Now we're going to take a heat gun and we can shrink that tubing. I really like these crimps with the shrink tubing integrated. I think it's my favorite way to do automotive wiring. Beautiful. Now for cable management, our relay kit also included some cable mount ties, which you can definitely use for this. You're welcome to use whatever type of cable mounts you want, but this came included. So the way they work is you drill a little hole on your shroud, you punch this in, and then you just clip the wire in it. So, for example, I could put a hole right there, clip the wire in, and then another one up here. Something like that would be pretty good. Now we're ready to slide in our fan assembly. So this goes in like this. And make sure that the bottom flange, there we go, the bottom flange of the shroud clips into the two plastic clips that were holding the lower shroud earlier. Now for the top, we're going to secure it with some clips. You'll have some clips that look like this or similar, and you're just going to clip the flange from the shroud to the flange from the radiator. Four clips like that should do the trick. Quick tip, if you want it to be even more secure, you can just loop a zip tie through here like this, right? Something like that. And now you know it's definitely not going anywhere. Thing is, without the lower shroud, there's no attachment points, although it's pretty stable just with the coolant hose. What might be the best move would be either to put some screws in here, but you gotta be very careful not to damage the condenser that is just under there, or drill a couple holes in the right spots to reach the holes on the radiator and put those screws back that were holding the lower shroud onto the radiator. Whatever you do, don't remove the top shroud. The top shroud is bridging the gap between the condenser and the radiator, and it's making sure that the air you are pulling in is coming from outside and not within the engine bay. Alright, let's look at the wiring, our relay kit, and understand what's going on. There's not a whole lot to connect. There's one ring terminal, black wire. This is grounds. So just attach this to any body ground or the battery. This red ring terminal, that is battery positive, 12 volts, direct to the battery. And now we have 3 wires here. Blue and green, these are fan 1 and fan 2 triggers. Those are going to connect to our temperature sensors, which those sensors will switch to ground when they trigger. And when each of these wires is grounded, that'll trigger the fans. Pink wire is 12 volts switched, ignition switched. So this is just so that the relay harness knows when you turn your car off, it'll turn the fans off instead of running them all the time or until the temperatures drop. So that's to avoid draining your battery. And finally, these are the 2 connectors that go to each of the fans. The first question is going to be, where do you install the relay box? It is very compact and will give you a generous amount of wire. So you have a lot of options. You can install it in the battery box, you can hook it up over here, you can hook it up to the firewall on the side, wherever you find a spot, right? Anyway, I removed the compressor because it was dead. And now this has opened up a lot of options for mounting. Even do that. That's funny. You can even do that. So I went with this just because of how simple and easy it was. Very straightforward. So let's start working down our way to the harness. So easy things first. We've got our ground ring terminal. There's a ground loop. There's a ground here, but that's almost too close. The length of this wire is almost perfect to put it on one of these grounds, like right there. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I connected that ground, and I ran the battery positive also all the way and connected it to the battery positive terminal. I started routing. This is the cable to the 2 fans. So I'm probably gonna go, I don't know if I'll go that way, but maybe through here or something. I've got to loop some of the extra wire there and connect the fans there. There's enough length that I could go all the way along the fender and around even. So plenty of options. I coiled the extra wire here and zip tied it to the cruise control bracket. Goes around here, connects to the fans. I'm happy with that. So I only have these 3 wires left. And the pink wire is our ignition switch power. Blue and green are the fan 1 and fan 2 triggers. Ignition switch power is actually pretty easy. You just have to find a fuse on your fuse panel that is only powered when the key is in position 2. I found that this fuse, the second one from the bottom, was that fuse for me. So I put a fuse tap, which I have been using to run switches and other things. I'm just gonna add a splice to this red wire and hook up the pink wire. Now this, the pink, blue, and green wires are loomed together, but I really don't need the pink wire to go all the way to where the temperature sensors are going to be. So I'm going to poke through the loom and pull out the pink wire to hook it up right here. I did that. I popped the pink wire in the middle of the loom here. I just picked it out and pulled it. And I like to put a little tape whenever there's a junction here. And yeah, just spliced it into my add a fuse circuit, pink wire, switch 12 volts. I only have a 5 amp fuse here because all of these are just signals to turn stuff off when the car turns off. There's no actual load coming from this circuit. Last 2 wires are the blue and green fan triggers. But for these to work, we're going to have to put our temperature sensors into the coolant hose. As I explained before, these temperature sensors are going to be ground triggers. I'm going to put them in here with some thread sealant or thread tape. And there's a little screw here that we're going to hook up to ground. So these sensors are going to switch to ground, and that's going to trigger the fans. The two sensors have different ratings. One of them says 180 degrees. That means it'll activate when it's 180 degrees, and it'll stay on until temperature goes down to 165. So it's a little sticky. 180, and the other one I picked 200. It'll turn on at 200, and then it won't turn off again until we go down to 185. So I'm going to experiment with these. If you receive different temperatures, that means that maybe I experimented and decided to go with something else. But these are the first ones I'm trying. We're going to probably put that like there. That is going to be your most accurate temperature because it is coming right out of the engine. All right, going and putting a little bit of Teflon sealant on these threads, which looks like tapered threads, so that's good. A 14mm wrench or socket will tighten these up. They're tapered threads, so they're not supposed to go in all the way. Once you feel quite a bit of resistance, then you're probably done. That's just how these are meant to seal. You're screwing into aluminum, so you don't want to go too crazy, but just get them snug. The package with the two hose clamps, there's also a tiny little screw. That tiny little screw will go there, and we will run a ground wire to that so that our sensors can be grounded. Okay? I'm going to try to add it to this section here in the middle. Make 2 cuts on the pipe and insert this. You don't have to drain all of your coolant for this, but just enough that the level is below this hose so you don't get anything that drains. So I might just pump out what I can from the reservoir. Brilliant, no leakage. The coolant reservoir is filling back up. That's an interesting phenomenon. Three connections to make. Our 2 fan wires, triggers. We are going to need some spade connectors to put on here, and a little ring terminal for the ground wire. So I should have included 2 shrink tubing spade terminals that you can crimp onto those wires. So you can plug them in now. Shrink them. Finally, a little bit of black wire. There we go. All right, ring terminal and our little screw. We attach that. Cool. Let's run that little black wire. You could run it back into this loom here and poke it out over there. That's not a bad idea. I'm going to do that as well. Use the loom we got. But you know what? Before I do that, I'm just going to route the wires the way I want, which is, ooh, those are tight. Oh man, those are tight. Tight spades. I want it to go under here. Yeah. course, I could have trimmed these wires down so that the loom comes out, or I could just add more loom. Either way. Let's run that black wire into the loom. So the other end of this black wire you can attach anywhere on the body. So as soon as you find a spot, so even just a self tapper into the side, or up to here, whatever works. Be mindful of the moving belts. Make sure to keep everything away from that. Now pay attention for the little ring terminals. The one that goes here is going to be a little one, and I'm going to give you a slightly bigger one so that you can hook up your ground to one of the posts over here. So pay attention to make sure you don't mix those up. And that's all finished there. So quick recap: spade terminals to the blue and green for fan triggers, a little ground wire hooked up to ground. We've routed that here. There's our ground. Pink wire to switched ignition. We've got one ring terminal to battery positive and one ring terminal to battery negative, and our two fan plugs. So everything's plugged in. Now we just got to turn on the car and test it, see if our fans turn on when we expect. Just came back from a test drive. First thing I noticed is just how much quieter it is. But yeah, under normal driving conditions, I don't think I ever got the fans to go full speed. They were at half speed the whole time, and really struggling to get the engine hot enough to go full speed. Now, I've been running these same fans on my LS swapped Disco, and they've been doing a great job keeping that engine cool. So I'm fully confident that this engine will stay cool with those fans as well. So, are we done? Well, we could be done. This is definitely a significant upgrade to the engine cooling. There is one more thing that could be almost as impactful, and that is upgrading this weak single condenser fan to dual, more powerful condenser fans. I noticed that the air conditioner performance on these vehicles starts to suffer when you hit about 205 degrees, which even with very good fans on an extremely hot day, crawling up a hill for a very long time, you could still get there. Another reason is that it significantly improves engine cooling too. You see, the condenser fan, when you're not going highway speeds, that is your only source of fresh air. Fresh air gets pulled by that fan through the condenser, and then with all of the shrouds on the side, it gets pulled into the radiator, right? I have a Range Rover here, and guess what? It has dual condenser fans on the 1993 Range Rover. So why would a 93 Range Rover with a 3.9 liter engine need dual condenser fans, but a 2003 Disco with a 4.6 liter engine doesn't? Well, it does. More than the Range Rover. My theory is that Land Rover was kind of strapped for cash when they made the D2 and they cut a few things down. The Range Rover has a thicker radiator too that looks really nice. And quite frankly, if you want to keep your clutch fan and you just need a little extra boost, just doing your condenser fans is a great upgrade by itself. So as of this video, we also have a dual condenser fan upgrade kit available on our website. I will cover that in a separate video linked down below. I should tell you that if you're doing both the dual condenser fans and the dual electric radiator fans, that's going to put extra load on your alternator. The Discovery 2 came with a 130 amp alternator. The easiest upgrade is to go to a P38 Range Rover alternator. It is a direct bolt-on, but it is a 150 amp alternator. If you're interested in this kit or in the dual condenser fan kit, visit our website, goldenrovers.com, or check out the links below. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.